the nightmare, and it's this woman kind of draped over a bed and this little gremlin sitting on her chest. So again, I don't mean to freak people out, but if they have had weird paranormal experiences, it's when we're in the sleep state that we are more open to those because we're more connected to the other side. And so, and there are books on this. There are great books on how to cope with this. And I just want to reassure people, it's partly because we are in a much more open state psychically being, and actually in sleep paralysis, they show brainwave states of being both awake and in the dream state. So they were trying to figure out which one is it. Well, it's both. So anyway, but I think that, to go back to the higher level of this, our dreams can provide absolute spiritual guidance, whether a person believes in God, Jesus, Buddha, the universe, their own higher self, their own source. To me, it's all good. It's all one thing. It's all beautiful and wonderful, and our dreams are a great way to connect with that.
Oh, I love that. Like you said, there's a lot of different paranormal shows going on right now, and I've been listening to a couple, even the ones on TV that have been coming out. I'm into the spooky.
Oh, me too. And I always have been, and I love that it's become so popular. I wrote a paper in college. Well, even in seventh grade, I wrote a paper on, is there a God, or is it humans need to believe in something greater than ourselves? And through the research I did, I found almost every culture throughout history, except for like one, I think they found somewhere, did believe in a higher power. And my conclusion was that, well, there is something, or why would everyone have tapped into that? and I think that the paranormal, it has been sort of poo-pooed as well, and now there's such a big interest because there's more access. Like in podcasting, true crime and paranormal are the top two most popular categories. And so because now people like us are able to just put our desires and interests out there in the form of a podcast, there's more content. But I think it stems from that deep hunger we have to validate that there is something more than us, even if it's sometimes scary. But I think more people have had those experiences than we realize, and so it's also validation to watch those kinds of shows. And it can be entertaining too, and it can be what would I do in that situation? What can I learn from this?
Yeah, that's how I look at them. What would I do? What if this really happened to me?
Uh-huh. That's what I do too. Even shows like Dateline, it's like, oh, yes. I know I shouldn't watch those. Sometimes I do, and I think there's the reason, because that's true crime, right? The other most popular category. I think that's why they're so popular, because we are all looking for that. How would I survive this?
Like, which one do you like better? Private events or clients that'll give you a ring and be like, hey, I had this dream last night?
Well, when I have worked events, which are not happening right now, I may do them virtually once they start up again. At events, there's so much going on. And for one, it can just be really loud. And I do not like that at all, because when you're tapping into inner guidance, you have to shut out the outside world. So when you're bombarded with loud DJ music and people are drinking too, that's another, that's bringing them into a much lower state of consciousness. And I'm trying to be in my highest state of consciousness. So absolutely, hands down, private clients over events, even though I'm very grateful for the event work that I have done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's understandable. You're trying to, it's like a focus moment where it's the two of us, we're trying to talk about this. And when you got the DJ and a couple of shots of tequila around.
Just a little distracting. Plus I can spend longer, when it's a private session. And I'm the kind of person who likes to go deep with people and with myself. And in the introduction, the very first episode of my podcast, I shared a dream of my own that I had many, many years ago. And in that dream, I was swimming in the ocean, but I was body surfing the waves that are near the shore. Because when you're body surfing, you don't go out in the way deep water. You sort of go in the waves that are coming into the shore. And I was body surfing and having fun with my friends, and it was all woohoo, whoopee. but I was longing to be out in the deeper waters where I could just stretch my whole body and really just swim in the deeper waters. And at that time in my life, I didn't have as much outlet for that. I had plenty of fun and good social times and things like that, but I didn't have as many people to talk to about the deeper stuff. And so I know that for me, that is just a very important quality that I savor.
I was listening. I did listen to that I listened to a few here and there episodes, and then I remember you just explaining about your dream long ago in your first episode. I was like, yeah, I did listen to that. I do think that was really cool.
Yeah, so events would be like body surfing, and private clients are swimming in the deeper water.
Okay. And you do, I know I'm going to say it wrong, but I remember reading, I did some follow-up, a little bit more about you, handwriting analysis.
Yeah, that's one of those things I picked up for event work, because that has been something that has paid very well, that I have somehow, I think because of my background as a performer, being a dancer, I had connections with talent agencies and lots of other performers, and I sort of like accidentally fell into this event work. I was not looking for that in terms of doing personal sessions with people, but it just sort of landed in my lap, and it paid really well, and it allowed me to do these other more creative things that there wasn't necessarily a huge financial demand for. And so it was some booking where they wanted more than just tarot, because that's what I would usually get booked for. Not everyone remembers their dreams, so even if they book me for dreams, I offer something else in addition. But anyway, so I took up handwriting analysis. I don't know why. It was like this, oh, okay, I guess I could do that. But really, once you do any style of reading, to me, it's like learning a foreign language. There are certain basic principles that apply to at least like German, French, and Spanish versus Latin or Japanese. Those three languages will have a lot in common about the way the sentences are structured, or the way you have like masculine and feminine, like le and la, or anyway. So it was really easy for me to learn it for some reason, because whether you're doing tarot, handwriting analysis, palm reading, face reading, any of those things, you have the elements. You have earth, water, fire, and air, and each of those represents a different type of energy. And once you know what elements connect to what, you can translate that for a person. So handwriting basically shows personality traits. So you can see who's more introverted, who's more extroverted, who leads with their heart, who leads with their head. And I sort of just developed my own way of doing it, because I don't really actually know anyone else in Seattle who does this for events. Now, granted, I do not do this forensically. There are people that do this for the courts and the FBI. You can tell when somebody's really at the forensic level. They can tell who's lying. They can tell who's got a personality disorder. They can literally diagnose mental health issues. Absolutely. It is very accurate and very fascinating how that works, because handwriting is body language. It's just an extension of our body language. We all learn to write the same way, but how it comes out is going to be very unique to the person. So, but the way I did it was for entertainment at parties, and I'd have a whole group write a couple sentences and bring over their pages, and then I'd say, okay, who has the biggest writing, and make it a really fun interactive experience. But I'm still bringing that whole background of all the depth of everything I've studied, and then trying to add some humor in there. So it's not the main thing I do in terms of my goals in life or what I want on my tombstone. That would be more, my heart has always been more with the dreams, but it's all the same. It's basically another form of the same essence, I guess I could say.
And I'm over here like, my handwriting, you're probably not going to get much from my handwriting.
Everybody says, oh, my writing's awful, but it's really not most of the time. And it's really just showing aspects of our personality. And it can change depending on how we're feeling too, or one word can change depending on how we feel about that thing. Like one woman She wrote, I don't like cats, but I love dogs. And I give people unruled paper, and because I want them to create the line that they're writing on. And so a line can be straight across the page, it can slant upwards, it can slant downwards. And when she wrote, I don't like cats, but I love dogs. The word, you can even hear it in the voice. The word dogs sloped downward. And that told me, I said, I believe you don't like cats, but what is it about dogs that is making you sad, even though you love them? And she said, she goes, well, I just lost my dog. Like he just passed away.
Oh,
So that downward, we even say in our language, and this is something that fascinates me endlessly and that I am always using in dream work, is our language reflects our feelings. So we even say, oh, she was feeling really down because her dog passed away. Being a dancer, that must be actually why this was so intuitive for me. I don't know if I ever logically connected that, but it's body language. So you're a dancer, you could look at somebody's body language and probably give them a pretty accurate reading on how they're feeling in the moment.
wow. You know what you are. I will 100% agree with you on that. I see it in a lot when I do private lessons, when
Uh-huh.
when my dancer is just, when they say, okay, yes, I'm going to do it. And then all of a sudden their body is moving so different and their mind is saying, we want to do this. Their body is saying, no, we just can't. And then it's that moment where I always usually take a moment. I have one, one of my girls, her mom's like, this always ends up being like some type of therapy session for at least 20 minutes. Because I always
Totally.
stop and I'm like, what's wrong? What happened in school today? What's going on? Tell me what's up. And we'll end up talking and tell me what's going on. And then we'll start dancing and it'll be like, she's great.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful work. Yes. So you know what I'm talking about exactly.
Yes, you can definitely read the body language. Your body really rats you out. Like I tell everyone, my face rats me out.
Rats you out. Exactly. It's true. And that's what makes you a good dancer, because you know how to express emotions. And that's what dance is.
Mm-hmm. All the emotions. Just
Yeah.
share with the world and moving your body. Oh, I can go on and on with that.
Yay.
So, have you ever had a moment where you spoke to someone about their dream and they were just took it the most negative way?
Sometimes people that are more logical and linear, and, again, guys just tend to be more logical than, and this is not a sexist thing at all. It's just that women are more emotionally oriented and men are more logically oriented. Again, we both have both. And some women are very masculine. They're very much in their logical and, out there in the world doing things. And other men are very feminine and more in their creative mind. But the more logical kind of guy might have a little harder time getting into the metaphors, or really more tapping into their emotions. Sometimes you have to ask men, what did you think of that experience in the dream versus how did it make you feel? If you and some, this is true for some women too, but people that have a harder time accessing their feelings and their emotions, it's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can facilitate a person doing all this, uncovering the dream symbolism. But if they are cut off from their own emotions, which has happened in their life for a very good reason, there's usually been some kind of trauma or pain, then you can't force them to have an insight about their own emotional state. So that's probably one of the bigger challenges.
When I do remember my dreams, I'm like, ooh, what was that? Or I don't remember them. So it was a lot of fun to hear from someone who speaks dream, you know?
I speak dream. I do. That's why I call it dream interpretation. Like some people will say, "Oh, you do dream analysis," and I'm like, I don't resonate with that, because to me that would be me coming from my logical mind, being the expert, telling the other person what it logically means. But interpretation, I exactly think it's like a foreign language, and we need to interpret it. And Spanish might have a word for something where English, we just don't have a word for that. And so you have to do your best to kind of work around it with descriptions, even though it doesn't translate literally. So working with a dream, I absolutely think it is like translating a foreign language into another language that the logic